was a very slightly sloppy live because I looked away for, I don't know, like 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Lost track of time there. So it's 8:45. We're going. Hello. Welcome to Fail Portrayal. Please wait one while I type a Discord alert. If you're watching the stream right now, you don't need it. Pat yourself on the back. Good job. But let us swoosh the scene. Because it is time to finish Albaz and the Abyss story. Finally, we're here. No, I did not have a tab of the Valuable Books EX3 super handy. Let me scroll back up in my history for it. But yes, thanks to the power of the Valuable Book EX3 being posted, we know how the story ends us. Because there's a lot of stuff going on. And yes, I am just... Funnily enough, yes, I am running a giant collage of what is called, anyway, FromSoft's best soundtracks. Which is interesting, because just today, the composer for a lot of these soundtracks announced she is going freelance. So, while presumably we'll still be working with From on future projects, like I assume any new music for that Elden Ring DLC that's coming up will still be by her and the associated team, you might hear more Soulsborne-inspired music in other pieces. There you go. There's your fun fact for the day. Also, yes, I expect a lot of you will probably be grinding through your lotto while we do this. I know you love big, long videos, but don't have anything else besides our last dozen or so? Maybe we're like 15? But to recap how we got here, when we last left our hero, Albaz, he became a giant dragon, and then became another giant dragon, and then got spit out of that giant dragon, and his girlfriend was stolen by an evil clown assassin. She was then absorbed into a pile of 666 souls. That reminds me, we need to make fun of Dallas for basically doing the same thing in Gensekai next week. Didn't even think about that one. I'm pretty sure he didn't do it on purpose because he is almost never here for the introductory parts of Fail Portrayal these days when we talk about the lore.
Also, it's kind of a classical thing to do.
It's true. It's very...
So Dallas' spin is more the idea of it's 666 persons indecision.
Yeah, kind of. He's tweaked his idea a little, but it is very cliche, arguably, that bit of dogmatic lore. But yeah, so that all got gooped up into Cartesia. But Albaz was not ready to be done yet, so he picked up an Ice Jade knife and joined with Aegerin, who was now the big boss of all like 2 Ice Jades that are left.
Yeah, basically he picked up what was remained of the Ice Jade Dragon.
Yeah, he picked up a shard of Mirror Jade.
What was left of the fight, and then he just walked to, I guess...
To Golconda, actually, because this is the card art that is in our thumbnail. Let me go ahead and grab the separated art at a slightly higher resolution so you all can check it out. But this card is called The Decisive Battle at Golconda. So basically, some Sword Soul / leftover Dogmatica stuff was happening in the back. But they started summoning bestial dragons out of the void hole. You can see, bestial Albalos there. Highlighting the Priskenian, the Despian Theater, which apparently can fly now. It's just chilling towards Golconda. So, yeah, lots of dragons got summoned. Aluber turned into Bestial Lubellion. He's very shiny. Sorry, the Bestial Lubellion. I forgot he's got an article. Cartesia and the armor got turned into Granguignol, The Dusk Dragon, still not sure how to say that one. And there's a lot of other bad shit happening that we will be discussing. But yeah, first card shown here is Decisive Battle of Golgonda. You can see a lovely back shot of Albaz. I assume he's doing this is just the reverse image of the Albaz the Ashen pose, because he's got like one arm raised. I assume he's holding the Shard of Mirror Jade, you just can't see it. But, you know, he's got a pose, there's his back, this guy's coat. There's, you know, lightning. There's Albalos up there. It's very scary. Good use of backlighting, you know, you've got, like, the God Rays and the lightning there. It's very solid. Despite how this one is, you know, appearing, it's only kind of an Albaz support card. Arguably, this is more for Springans, because you may recall when we talked about Springans, they really need you to find Gold Desert, or Great Sand Sea Gold Golgonda. You really need to find that card. So, what did Konami do? They printed Gold Golgonda 2! So this is a continuous spell card that says this card's name becomes Great Sand Sea Gold Golgonda while on the field or in the graveyard. Once per turn, if a card's you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck to the graveyard instead. So instead of being destroyed, you can bin a Albaz fusion, which usually pluses you. During the end phase, if you have Fallen of Albaz on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon one Springans monster from your hand or deck. You can only use this effect of Decisive Battle Golgonda once per turn. So the end phase effect is a hopped. The protection effect is a soft once per turn. A sopped, if you will. So, yeah, basically this, I think, is supposed to be basically Golgonda copies, you know, 4, 5, and 6 for a Springans deck, because you usually want that card in rotation. This gives you the names. It does give you a protection effect, which can be kind of funny and can set some stuff up. And, you know, hypothetically, it lets you extend, you know, get Springans out of your deck in both end phases, because it just says during the end phase, not your end phase. So it's got some use. I haven't really heard a lot about it, right? But it seems okay. You're going to see a couple of cards here where some of these are very obviously like Band-Aids for like, oh yeah, it's been like, checks watch, 12 months since we printed Tri-Brigade. They haven't had any support and have possibly only seen a ban list. What do we do? But you're also going to see cards like Decisive Battle of Golgonda, which are more just like, hey, we have this lore picture we really need to communicate to the audience, but we can only do this in the form of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so we need a card to go along with this. But let's show the opposite side of the pose. Because you might think from the way, you know, Decisive Battle is shot, right, that it's Albaz alone versus the world, man. No. Tri-Brigade Showdown. Ooh, excellent timing. We just, my soundtrack OST just hit Sif's the Dark Souls as we did this transition. Nice. Oh, okay. Couldn't have planned it better myself.
I guess his left eye got fucked up, I think.
He's got a scar there. I think he has it open in other art. But yeah, he's got a little scar there now, so I think he did get an injury. But yeah, this is Albaz from the front. I don't remember if he was this jacked last time we saw him. Loth was ambushed by a screening of Barbie. So he is not here. But I would be remiss if I did not point out, there's your little Springans Rocky right there with the boy.
Yeah. I vaguely noticed it. Also, I think it's less he's jacked, I think he's more dehydrated.
That could also be true. That is how you get that jacked look in movies. But like I said, I don't know if he's been drawn with as much detail normally.
I think it's also that he's like literally just fucking exhausted, but he's still pushing.
True. He and his allies have been pushed to the limits, and you do see several of them here. You've got Mercurier, you've got Farigite. So hey, Farigite's fine. Some people were like, Farigite died. Nope, don't think so. She's fine. You have some extra people. I don't know if Nerval is okay, but there are some extra bird women in the background here. At least I think they might be ladies, because like they look a little bit like Lyrilisk tracings.
I don't know if it's like I like the highlighting because like the color.
Yeah,
really
the color
in
interplay in this is really good. You've got like the red backlight effect, but all the Tri-Brigade allies, are wearing these bright blue scarves.
I know you would only never notice when it's blown up, but I think like some of the background work's a bit messy with like how it's layered. But that's just
It does look like the artist had to like get a lot of stuff on screen, so the frame is a little crowded.
I feel like they didn't need to put that last rock pillar in the back.
I like the shading is good. Well, then how would you know if it's at Golconda? I'm pretty sure you can see, I think that's Rugal here, but minus an arm. Or he's doing a very weird pose with his arm. I don't know.
No,
but...
I think he's putting it behind his back so the other person can stand on, hold on to his back.
It's a little hard to tell, but yeah, there's a lot of the team here. There's a Mercurier. So this is the squad that has been assembled. All the remaining.
Probably a bunch of the Tri-Brigade that was just never shown.
Yeah, because they were supposed to be fairly sizable. And also, honestly, this gives me the idea that if Tri-Brigades weren't still a good deck, like I think, is it both Nerval and Karos? No, not Karos. Fractal. A couple of them are still limited or semi-limited in the OCG. But if Tri-Brigade wasn't still a good deck, they probably could print more Tri-Brigades. They have the technology. It's just, they probably don't want to because some of those are still really good. But yeah, so Albaz has assembled his hashtag squad goals. There are a couple of big names missing from it, but we'll catch up with them later. Also, no, I don't actually know if those are supposed to be bandages per se, because like you can see that Farigite's got them all up and down her gun. They are, bandanas they're wearing symbolically.
It's the mark of the Tri-Brigade. Also, I guess it's just fabric dyed with the sprite energy.
I might be. I don't know. We haven't actually. Kit isn't back in the fight yet, so.
Sure, just where they got. It's where they got most of their stuff from, or at least not directly them, but like.
Yeah, it's true.
Energy,
they worked in the Iron Country, so there might be some interest. By the way, this is a card that is a much better name in the OCG. This is Tri-Brigade Deadline, literally Tri-Brigade Deadline. It's called Tri-Brigade Showdown in the TCG. I think I get that Showdown is more literal, but I thought I would personally have said Tri-Brigade Deadline is cooler.
Because it's like this is the last time to
it's our last stand, the final battle. It's the reverse shot. But this is a Tri-Brigade card. It is a continuous spell trap. It's a spell, actually, specifically. If a beast warrior, or winged beast monster is special summoned to your field, except during the damage step, target one of your banished Tri-Brigade monsters, add it to your hand. After damage calc, if your Tri-Brigade monster battle the opponent's monster, you can return that monster to the opponent's hand. You can use each effective showdown once per turn. I don't know what shape Tri-Brigade decks are in lately. I assume you would run this because it is a named spell and it actually does do something. It lets you recycle your Tri-Brigades if they are banished, which is where they often end up when you link summon. So, I know a lot of people obsess over like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's over in like 3 turns. That's only if you're doing very, very high level play. Trust me, I have etched out a lot of weird turn counts playing like Master Duel in the latest event and stuff. So, hypothetically, you need to be able to, play the 3rd turn or the 4th turn or whatever. And this is a decent card for that. And even then, even if you're just going for like an OTK sweep or a pop, the battling effect is not bad. Bouncing is very spicy. It's specifically not targeting. It is a effect that activates after damage calculation. You can choose to return the opponent's monster to the hand. So you can still take the damage, lose the fight, but it does bounce, which can be funny. especially because you can crash your own monsters. So yeah, decent card. Don't know if it doesn't do a whole lot for the deck, but it exists. But hey, remember how I said there were going to be some cards we couldn't talk about in archetypes because they were spoilers? The Abyss Dragon Sword Soul. In the OCG, this is rendered as Shinen no Sokeryu, the Abyss Sword Soul Dragon. So yeah, this is Evil Long One.
I think I remember being like a
glued
little.
to he's
basically fused the two together. Or
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, it's also got Supreme Serpent Golgonda.
both basically pawns. Like they both were dead, so he just took the corpses and put them together to make one.
Yeah, let me see if I can actually find the description. Yes.
There's nowhere.
Albaz,
there's
you know, blah blah blah. Golgonda appeared from the ground. This was a guy that had been expelled from the Sacred Summit, so it was, in case you couldn't tell from the fact that they called it Supreme Sovereign, that was supposed to be a reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Strictly speaking, they are not dead when this happens. Golgonda comes out from underground and then fuses with Chengin because they are similar. Yeah, it had. The reason why it was a giant serpent was because it had basically like degraded as a creature from being kicked out from the Sword Souls, so it kind of like regressed. It became more bestial.
I'll go to that. I guess it did kicked out because it started eating it started eating the riffs.
Yeah. So. It wombo combos with what's left of Evil Long One and becomes a big fuck you dragon. Clearly, Long One did not read the Evil Overlord's list. I don't remember what number it is, but one of them says, "I will not turn into a snake. It never helps."
Yes. In this case, it just makes him become a prehistoric fossil. Or at least if you look at the Green, I think, or like Emperor Green is the card.
Yeah. Well, and I get Ocassus, but that's, because
you can see it in the
she's very
background.
upset. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because they're gonna get clowned on. We'll have a better card to look at that in a second. But yeah, I mean, art-wise, it's Long One glued to the top of Supreme Serpent. He's got a weird sword soul energy circle thing here. He's got a lot of eyeballs. He's doing some stuff. It's all right. It's a little hard, I think, to capture how fucking huge this guy has to be, but
it's the kaiju boss. It's like it's the basically the way how we splice up the kaiju boss by taking two arc villains and putting them together.
You gotta switch them back. You gotta squish them together. So this is a Fire Verm, level 8, 3k attack, 2900 defense. So it's got the same defense, I think, as Supreme Serpent. Actually, no, Supreme Serpent doesn't have any defense. It's !0. Okay. But that one does get 3k attack when you have Gold Golgonda on the field. So this one has 3k attack, to show that off. I think 2900 defense is from the synchro version of Evil Long One. Anyway, Abyss Dragon Sword Soul cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned by a worm monster's effect. So any worm monsters which may special summon it can summon it. If a monster is
like the death of them.
banished by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, if it was there when the monster was banished, or hand, even if not, but banish it when it leaves the field. If this card is special summoned, target a card in the field zone and one monster your opponent controls, or in their graveyard, banish them. You can use each effect of Abyss Dragon Sword Soul once per turn. This being a level 8, I'm pretty sure this does see some slant play in some Sword Soul builds. Because...
I honestly feel like...
Go ahead.
At least I know this one, like the composite Ice Jade card that meant to go with it, technically. I always felt like their effects were designed to emulate how they exist in the story, oddly enough.
Well, yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of that. It's like that one cards. Ice Jade card we talked about last time from, which was basically almost like...
Her effect was just to, like, freeze this guy in ice eternally, yeah.
No, not that one. Because I don't think we've talked about that one yet. That big finale. There's like, it's not Cradle, it's something else. It's basically anti-support for Ice Shade. Let me actually double check the name of which one it was.
Yeah, it's supposed to represent the cradle dying, I think.
Ice Shade Curse. Yeah, that's right. That's the one where you can see the ruins of Cosmic Lore being passing to whatchamacallit? Agodin. That's when she becomes Ran Agodin.
Yeah, because there are at least like in more archetypes, there's at least a thing of like there's always a few cards that effects are literally just to basically via game mechanics show you basically describe the event that happened.
Yeah. But yeah, this not that Sword Soul needed any support, but like I said, I think you can run this in Sword Soul because it does have a self-summon effect when you banish cards, which is a thing you fucking do in Sword Soul. And then when it is special summoned, or rather if, but you know what I mean, you can, banish a field spell and banish a card out of the field or graveyard. So you can DD Crow or banish, pop a target on there. Karma Cut kind of a thing. So these effects are good. It is a big-ass body. It is a level 8. So I think this probably has some potential either as a side deck option or as a main deck option in Sword Soul decks. I don't know if it's as popular as any of the others, but he exists. He does stuff. But there's also we have a lot. It's the last very definite final super dungeon of the game. So you have a lot of bosses to fight. This is the card art for Dogmatica Matrix. This is just Drag Matrix in the OCG. Dogmatica Matrix seems a little spicier.
It just feels like a thing of like you're ready to fight, and then like the sign off the front of the building falls off, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah. Because this is the big boy. He's coming out. So this is a pretty good card. If you have been seeing, for instance, in Master Duel, where all the cards are out, seeing Ritual Dogmatica decks, like pure Dogmatica builds, they are running this. It is good. There's not really a lot to talk about with the card art, because you see a little guy in there. Don't worry, we'll get a better look at him. But he's come out of his little egg cocoon, which is the theater. Because he's gonna boogie. So this is a continuous spell card. When this card is activated, you can add one Dogmatica Ritual monster or one Dogmatica Ritual spell from your deck to your hand. Then, if your opponent controls a monster, you can add one Dogmatica card from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if you control a Dogmatica Ritual monster, look at either player's extra deck, send one monster from it to the graveyard. You only activate one Dogmatica Matrix per turn. So yeah, Dogmatica Matrix is a good card for Ritual Dogmatica. You get to add a spell or a monster, and then if you're going second and your opponent controls a monster, you can fucking do it again, so you search both anyway. It's like, pre-prep shit. And then also, hey, when you have a ritual monster, you get to snipe the extra, which is good. You don't even have to snipe their extra. You can send something funny out of your extra for extension. Because, we all know that Entis is the secret extra member of Team Dogmatica. But yeah, that's Matrix. Good card. Now, who could that be coming out of that weird thing? It's this freak show. Dogmatica Albazoa. He is gooey.
He has become the GRPG final boss.
Well, not quite, because he's not.
He's
getting there. This is phase 1 of that boss fight, because he does become
he's the arc boss
later. We have already talked about that, because literally lore-wise, they don't even know. We're not even sure why that happens. Why he becomes Dispotter. He just gets goopy and noodly for some reason. But this is Albazoa. Albazoa is Maximus, a.k.a. Dramaturge.
I think he's just put. I know what it is. I think he's just become like he's completed the saint ritual, so he's become like the ultimate saint, and he's also put like, as you can see around his wrist, he's basically has all of the rifts inside of him as well. So like,
Yeah,
I think
he's got all the
he's become a
stigma.
dimensional nexus being or something.
He's got all the stigma power going on. He's real juiced up. He's literally got stigmata. He's covered in spikes and needles. He has no eyeballs, but has a really long, gross tongue for some reason.
And where his eyes would be are like his crown of sorts.
Yeah. This is a reference to the books, the works by William Blake. The Zoas are supposed to be four like beings that were born when the primordial man, who is called Albion, was divided into four.
It's also represented by Aluber and Albaz.
Yeah. And Alba Zoa specifically would be the white Zoa, because Alba or Albus is white in Latin.
Which is funny that Albaz is Alba Z.
Yeah. And technically in the OCG he is straight up Albus. It's just, we had to figure out a way to say not not call him Albus's bastard child. Well, what the fuck was the fan translation? Albus's nullius filius? They just decided to go straight Latin, even though that wasn't actually how his name was structured.
Because they're going with like straight line as basically like
they translated his name literally and then
for like artificial name, yeah.
Latined it up because they had no idea how, and then we just did Albaz the Fallen. By the way, this card's name literally translated to in Japanese as White Nadir of Evil Dogma. But that is written to be pronounced Dragma no Albazoa. So technically there should actually be an of participle in there. This is the Albazoa of Dragma or Dogmatica. Anyway,
Probably would
he's
work.
big goopy.
It'll make it more searchable. It'll make it more searchable.
He's big goopin'. From the theater, Dramaturge completes his transformation. He becomes divine. He can no longer be called human.
Is it weird? I feel like he's not even like. I feel like he's very solid. He's not really goop any. I don't think there's any goop anymore in that. I think it's all just. Grotesque.
Yeah, I mean he's shiny, and his wings are kind of like tentacular. Bulbous is probably a better word. I know many people will not like it, but yeah, he's just weird right now. Okay,
he's become a primordial being.
Yeah, he is no longer a man. He is becoming a biblically accurate angel. He will soon become a biblically accurate god. Wait a minute.
Oh no, that's bad.
But yeah, got a lot of weird shit going on. Like he's got a super pinchable waist, but it's really gross, so you don't.
Because I feel like it's
super
more of
big wings. He's also. Look at those hand proportions. Look at how freaky deaky those are. Like, and
you kind of tell the glowing parts are because that's the stuff influenced by the circlets of void holes.
Look how he's got a weird.
Yeah, he's still forming his body.
Membrane. It's freaky.
How Image is like How Image is that he was growing larger from his previous form inside the thing, but then he got getting bigger because it shattered the building. So he's growing larger.
So, this is the ritual monster, light spellcaster, level 12.
That's Maximus, yeah.
Interestingly enough, they don't do a switch up to make him like a fairy or a fiend or anything. He is spellcaster because he's not quite there, even though lore-wise he's described. So he's a level 12 ritual monster. He's 4K. It's pretty fucking big.
Pretty hopped up in the juice.
Cannot be ritual summoned except by Dogmatic Calamity or another Dogmatica card effect. Dogmatic Calamity is basically a generic Dogmatica ritual. We've talked about it before, but that was when while he was still Maximus. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. He's holding up his hands to praise the Void Holts and be like, yeah, woo!
Bring upon the angels.
Yeah, I'm gonna summon some fucking dragons, bro.
I just think of Berserk and how the demons are angels.
But yeah, so so long as you do a Dogmatica thing, you can summon him. So he's kind of backwards compatible. That's cute. You can't use any generic ritual spells with him, which is funny. So you can't, like, ARA dump 2 vanilla level 6s or anything. Got to use Dogmatica. Not that, again, with cards like Dogmatica Matrix, it really doesn't matter. It's eminently searchable. So, this has several effects. Number 1, Dogmatica monsters you control are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters. You are become towers. During your main phase, you can make your opponent choose and apply one of these effects. And this is one of my favorite. I love when Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets these parentheticals. You in these effects means that opponent. So you make your opponent pick an effect of their choice. So that means the U refers to them. So for every 2 cards in your extra deck, send 1 card from your hand or extra deck to the graveyard. Return all Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters you control to the extra deck. You can only use this effect of Dogmatica Albezoa once per turn. So yeah, I mentioned there are actually pure ritual Dogmatica builds. You're usually going for this guy. He is kind of a fucker. He is unaffected and makes all of your Dogmaticas unaffected by extra deck monsters' activated effects. So continuous effects don't matter, but activated effects just can't even bother touching these guys. And during your main phase, you can make your opponent either basically put their entire board back or send 1 card from their hand or extra deck to the graveyard for every 2 cards in their extra. Which means if they are playing with a full extra deck, if you are going first and make this guy, and I believe your opponent does have to pick an effect that does do something. Actually, maybe not. It doesn't say minimum 1, so maybe if your opponent doesn't have any extra deck monsters out, you can't force them to pick that second one. But, like, hypothetically, if they have to pick that second one, that means they have to send roughly half their extra deck to the graveyard on turn 1, which sucks for them. So, yeah. It's pretty spiced. He's a big spicy boy. But before we can even fight that guy, the squad has to get through Super Longwan, and then Cartesia and Granganol have taken to the front. So there's some stuff that's got it going. I'm pretty sure we talked about Gimir Egerin, the Synchro, before. Yeah, because we talked about their Sync 10. But there is another spell card we do need to talk about. And technically I could have talked about it back with the when we talked about Abyss Dragon. But this is Ice Jade Manifestation, aka Fighto. So yeah, this is Grimir Egerin and Ejiro Cassis fighting Abyss Dragon Sword Soul, the ultimate grudge match. He's shooting a lot of fire, breath, and lightning, and they are shooting a lot of ice. It do be going. Not really a lot else to say about this artwork. It's pretty good.
It's fucking cool. It's just
Yeah,
like
it's rad.
The two girls got a revenge run on the asshole that killed their family, and themselves too.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So like, it's just good detail, good lighting. You know, I like the inclusion of like you've got like the red lines from some of the Sword Soul. There's Ice Jade stuff in here. This beautiful like fire and lightning effect color swatch. Like, it's good. This is good art. Don't really know what else to be saying about that one.
John Ween was, I don't know why this came to my mind, but like this is literally just the epic depiction of the salty runback.
Yeah, basically. So, Ice Jade Manifestation is a normal spell card. Technically, this card should have a little bit more going on. Its full name in Japanese is Ice Jade Great Sword Manifestation. Unfortunately, manifestation is a very long fucking word in English. So they had to trim some stuff out of it. But this normal spell reads, if you control a water monster and your opponent has a monster on their field or in their graveyard, if they decided to do the salty hand trap, take an Ice Jade monster from your deck and either send it to the graveyard or special summon it. If a face-up Ice Jade monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's card, except for being destroyed, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a card your opponent controls, banish it. You can use each effective Ice Jade Manifestation once per turn. Now, obviously, we discussed this in the Ice Jade episode. Ice Jades are not good, per se. Though I did see, I think, some funny Ice Jade combos in... Farfa posted a Master Duel version of Table 500 not too long ago, where there were some very, very funny replays came up. But with your new synchro and with manifestation, this is pretty good. Basically, if you're going turn 2 or turn 1 and your opponent is dumb enough to use a hand trap, you can basically be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to summon my giant tuner from my deck. This just helps you bridge instantly into the synchro. And also, kind of fitting with the themes we talked about, if your opponent gets rid of your Ice Jades, you get to do a revenge and be like, oh yeah? Fuck you. Banish. So, it's a pretty decent card. I don't think it's enough to save Ice Jades, but, it's giving them tools that are both lore appropriate and actually useful. But it's not enough. Alone, the Ice Jades can't push back that super big asshole. They need help. What sort of help could they get? Possibly the single greatest named card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Tally-ho, Springans! There's an exclamation point after Tally-ho. Yeah.
I feel like the artist did a lot of effects, just doing a lot of lighting and I guess visual effects.
Yeah, the color palette on this is crazy. You can see gigantic Sargass back there. There's a couple of the other boys like Paydor, and I don't remember what the other big guy was called.
I think some of the missiles actually might be just photos that it converted into the art style.
Possibly, it's real good.
Because look at the missile on the right; they look like photos of fireworks.
Yeah, no, there's some real good work here, and just chat. I want you to just look at this. Look how many fucking missiles there are. We're going all out. There's a lot of missiles. Okay.
Okay, so this is a weird thing to say, but look at the 3 missiles on the top of the image.
Yeah.
See the middle one of that? It looks like there's a glare effect. It looks like basically if they took an image from with a phone camera.
Yeah.
I think they made physical props.
Yeah, this is probably we used a reference for something, or the artist did a lot of effect studies. But yeah, this card's fucking rad. Just look at all these fucking missiles. Zargaz is firing a gigantic sprite beam. We're going apeshit, okay? It's pretty cool.
If this is only a 10-minute animation, I still think there'd be a lot of cool 30-second shots.
Yeah. This is just real good. So, the Tally-ho Springans. Which, yes, that is just its name in Japanese, by the way. Tally-ho Springanzu! Technically, they have 2 exclamation points in the Japanese version, which I think is a miss from the TCG, but still pretty good. This is a quick play spell card. When you activate this card, you could also detach up to 3 materials from monsters you control. Add 1 Springans monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you detach any material, you can special summon that many Springans from your hand or graveyard. So just as you can kind of see from the card art, you can just be like, we're going to fire a bunch of missiles and summon a bunch of boys. During your main phase, if the card's in your graveyard, target an Xyz monster on the field. Detach material from it. If you do, add this card back to your hand. You can only use 1 Tally-ho Springans effect per turn and only once that turn. Again, Springans are mostly like a locals legend and kitchen table deck. But they still have a very strong game plan, and Tally-ho absolutely goes into that. You get to fucking... if you stack your materials right, you get to fucking detach 3, summon 3 from deck or hand... after searching, by the way. And then from your graveyard, you can detach an Xyz material to recycle this from anywhere. This includes, by the way, on your opponent's monsters. Is Zeus minimum 2 per activation?
Yes.
Yeah, so your opponent sends your board with Zeus. They have 2 left because they had a 4-mat Zeus. You're just like, nah, fam. I'm going to add this card back to my hand. You have a 1-mat Zeus. What are you going to do? There's a lot of weird edge case dumb shit you can do with that. Because it just says target an Xyz monster on the field, detach. So long as they're not protected from targeting, you get to do the spice. So yeah, this is a good card in Springans. Very funny. Great card art. All right. And then next on our list... we have a further follow-up of the Great Big. So, yeah, strictly speaking, technically, I think, because there's not any, like, absolute card art of it going on, I think Albaz is technically stuck on the ground with most of the Tri-Brigades looking up at, you know, like, the Bestials and Albazoa being like, huh, those guys are big. Anyway, but the Springans fly in, and in particular, Big Sargass, we've already talked about, takes care of Bestial Albaloa with his gigantic Thundercross. Literally, Giganticus Thundercross.
It's amazing they're basically just like the tires. It's literally just concept art for like I guess a good like 20 minutes of animation.
Yeah, no, this is just where we're piloting the OVA. So yeah, Bestial Albalos getting fucking blasted.
A good battle shop, like cool.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, it's so weird to me of how you can tell there's different art assets. They're basically like they had to. In my mind, it's like they had made pre-made art assets. They basically then like positioned correctly via Photoshop layers. Or something
Yeah,
like
there's probably a lot of layers and other things going on because you've got like out the actual bestial monster underneath, and then all of its effects, and then you've had to draw one beam and then put another beam over it.
I have to ask you one thing. Does the beam that Dramaturg, I forget the name of the core, the beam that like the black and red beam or the red and blue beam?
Yeah.
Does that remind you of anything?
Off the top of my head, this color scheme looks kind of familiar, but no.
I'm more thinking it reminds me of like 90s to early 2000s like beam effects.
Yeah, I guess art palette wise. Also, this is a thing that which is kind of relevant, but definitely a thing with certain kinds of beam effects in Bleach for sure.
Like it's old,
like
it's old shonen beam effects in like a fun way.
So yeah, Gigantic Thundercross is not an archetypal trap. It is just a normal trap that's called Gigantic Thundercross. Considering it is called literally Gigantic Thundercross, yes, this probably is a JoJo reference. You fool. You've fallen for my Thundercross split attack. Anyway, this is a normal trap. It says, target a number of monsters on the field and or in the graveyard equal to the difference between your banished cards and your opponent's. Banish them. Then your opponent can special summon one monster from their deck. You can only activate Gigantic Thundercross once per turn. So, Thundercross is not a super great trap card, you know. As our local Labyrinth enjoyer, our local Labyrinth setter-upper, I would not play this over just like playing like Compulse or something. Your opponent getting to special summon from their deck is really, really stupid good. This is a side deck card if like your opponent is running a banish heavy deck, and so they banish a fuck ton of their cards, and then you go like, okay, cool, you're gonna banish some more. Doesn't do a lot for most decks. I don't think it really does anything in particular for any of the archetype decks. It's just a really cool card art they had to get out there to show some stuff happening. And, you know, it at least reasonably talks about what it would be. Like, you do get to DD Crow a lot for this, so it can be helpful. Obviously, if you're worried about, like, Bestial stuff, it can be a Bestial counter. But you may be wondering, chat, where does that second beam come from? Surprise! There is still one Tri-Brigade who is relevant, besides Kit. Tri-Brigade Arms Bucephalus 2.
He's come back with more shit.
Yeah, Shurag's back, and he has been powered up by one of another of Kit's funny haha inventions. Which is basically, she's given him a giant gun arm.
Using his false wing as a supporter, and I guess an aiming device.
Seems to have upgraded his wing, yes, and given him some of the same technology that we'll be seeing in a second with another of her funny inventions.
Honestly, the weirdest thing of mine is like the tip of the gun reminds me of like how Rangamidiad is designed in Fate.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of like a lance, but also is clearly like, a gun. You'll see a little bit of this with again Rindbrum later, which is actually very soon. But yeah, so it's obviously I don't think Shurag was ever banned. Mostly they hit like the
revolts
to him.
usually.
Yeah. Revolt got limited, I think, in some formats, and like I said, I'm pretty sure Fractal and Nerval have seen some time being limited or semied. So it's kind of the thing where you don't hit the end board, you hit the guy before it. But Bucephalus 2, full name, by the way, translated as Iron Beast-style Assault Mobile Arms Revision Bucephalus 2. Tribugado Amzu Bucephalus 2. I'm pretty sure that means that, by the way, Kit named it this. This is a Dark Winged Beast Link 5. So you need all your monster zones free to revolt this.
It's the end of the line. It's like it's a new I get new entities.
It's Shurag and then some more stuff. Now, obviously, with Link monsters, you can still Link climb. It's got all back-facing arrows, so it's got, left and right, and then all the back ones, no forward arrows.
Like, this is the middle point of your combo.
Yeah. It's 3,500 attack, so quite large. 3+ Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monsters. So your minimum mats are 3.
You make so it's honestly it's Link. You make I guess you make 2 of the Link 2s, and then you have like an extra new material come in.
Yeah, just get a free special or something.
You just raw do it from grave after.
Or it's true. With Revolt, you can just be like, Revolt, summon 5, Link 5.
Because technically you don't even summon them, you just turn them directly into Link material.
Technically they are summoned, yes.
Okay.
This also means that cards that like prevent summoning can negate Revolt. You have to summon them and then immediately perform a Link summon.
Okay, because I'm thinking there's another one where I think you can just do it from grave, I think? Or any
yes. That's on your turn, so it's not a trap effect, but all of the main deck Tri-Brigade lads can just be like, you can banish this card to Link summon.
This is a card you make on your own turn, because then you do the other effects to add more to him.
So, can't be special summoned from your extra deck unless you have 3 or more Tri-Brigade spell traps in your graveyard. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when you special summon a monsters. When a monster declares an attack, banish this card, also banish all cards your opponent controls. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send one Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Tri-Brigade Arms Bucephalus 2 once per turn.
It's like I said, it's not your finisher. It's your secondary, it's your second extender, honestly.
This is a mid-combo board wipe you've got going second, basically. Your idea is you special summon, you give yourself basically protection from getting, bottomless trap hold, whatever, when your opponent can't activate effects response to your special summoning. And then you go for an attack, Bucephalus 2 banishes itself, your opponent loses their whole board because it is a non-targeting banish everything. And then if your opponent actually manages to pop it, you get to extend from your extra deck as well. And also, he's just a big fucking asshole. He's a 3,500. Arguably, I think the problem here is that you're playing a Link spam deck. You can just make access code talker, who can blow up your whole opponent's board because you're playing a Link deck, and then attack for game. Which Bucephalus 2 does not. That said, like the Buse does, like I said, is a non-targeting banish all in the battle phase.
I also just have, a weird thing to bring up have with this. I feel like the 3 spell trap cost is a bit awkward considering you can't really foolish burial goods your cards. You can't really do that consistently in Tri-Brigade. So
yeah, you need to act. You would need.
It's
to
a thing of like, honestly, if this is a different
cards.
kind of game, this would be like you could only play the. This feels like a card that'd be only. See, it's locked to you only play in a Tri-Brigade deck, but you can't do that in Yu-Gi-Oh. And I think that'd be kind of interesting if like certain cards were just balanced by being like you only play them if your deck is 80% that archetype.
Yeah. They do have some methods to get stuff, and actually, I think I missed this guy. They didn't show this card art. Okay, there's actually another setup to this that gives us a better look at the look as well. So they do have a quick play that was added by this. Let me see, where does this technically? Yeah, I think this is about here. So I'll pull up that card art in a sec. They have a few, but like a lot of them have once per turns. Like you said, I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to do it, but they do have some discard control, and some ways to get their stuff through. Obviously, But I think the real problem with this card also being good, besides just the fact that, like we said, Access Code exists. As you said, they don't have a super great Foolish Way. A lot of their cards are continuous spells or traps, which means you can't really get rid of them. Like, basically, it sounds like Bucephalus 2 is a turn 3 card designed to punish your opponent for blowing up your first board. You're like, okay, smartass, you've destroyed all my monsters and blown up my board and popped all my spell traps. Now I'm going to make a big guy. I'm going to banish your whole board and blow you up. Which is, like I said, remember, people are like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's super fast. It's over on turn 2. That's not as often the case as people like to extremely say. At high-level play, that can happen a lot, but if you're just playing a game of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's not going to be that fast. But it is harder to set up than you'd think. I think that if it was monsters in your graveyard, especially because you have banish requirements, that would actually be good. But I think they didn't make it that because, well, there's a concern that you would have banished all of your, be banishing all of your monsters to make him. But yeah, Bucephalus 2 is a cool card. I just think that, like we said, the 3 spell traps is a little rough without any easy access discard tools. I mean, I guess you could run, some of them have graveyard effects, so you can probably run like 3 Foolish Real Goods, but that's not going to get you all the way there. Sick art, though. And then let me grab the next one. Ah, okay, I see. This card is not in Master Duel. Well, makes sense. This only just came out like a couple months ago in the TCG. So hold on a second. I gotta pull up the card art. Because this card, I believe, is actually good. But it does also show off some of that stuff we're talking about. So yeah, using their Gigantic Thundercross, Sargass and the Buse blow up Albaloa, but they still have to deal with Albazoa. Let me shrink this. As seen in this card art, Tri-Brigade Roar. So you get a better look. Obviously, Shrek has been through some shit. His mask has been blown off. Parts of his drill cannon arm are blown up, but he's got a big lance gun.
It's just, I feel like they put all the stops for actually for this like whole arc because it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, they put like there's just a lot of stuff here going on. And it's like you can tell where some things they like didn't focus as much of like the bigger things, but it's like you can see where they focus on. And it's all like really well done.
I think that's.
I wish I knew the artist for this.
Yeah, that's something I think everybody can genuinely levy that criticism at Konami is. I wish they credited their artists so we could know exactly who it is. Some artists obviously do come forward and say that they worked on certain cards, but it would be nice to like know exactly whose art style this is. Do they have some other product I can perhaps purchase? I think that's Farajit in the background, by the way, shooting off her giant cannon. Actually, wait, no. I know. Actually, I remember what this is.
Oh, I know who that is actually.
No, that's a later. That's a later moment.
That's the Saintus, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, I do see that I have Roar actually lower down in my list now.
Which basically means like this is his side. This is the other side of like the final battle happening.
Yeah,
I guess.
We do a lot of teaming up. We'll catch back up to this, but this is relevant to.
Is technically the final boss.
Yes. But he starts melting into Dispotter after a thing happens, which we'll be talking about shortly. But yeah. While we are talking about Tri-Brigades, though, this is still a good card to talk about. This is a quick play spell card. If you control a Link monster, send a Tri-Brigade card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. So this can be your Foolish. Target an effect monster on the field and apply the following effect based on the type of card sent to the graveyard. Monster, turning that targeted card's attack to 0 until the end of this turn. Spell, negate that monster's effects at the end of the turn. Trap, return that monster to the hand. You can only activate 1 Roar per turn. So Roar lets you do the Foolish Burial Goods effect and get something off of it. So you basically get at least 2 spells in grave for the Buse 2. But you can only activate 1 Roar per turn, so you do still need a little bit of extra setup there. But yeah, this is, we're doing some spicy stuff. Good card. because it is a quick play spell card and you have to control a link. So you can get some zeroing out. But everybody, do you know what time it is? It's time for my other favorite fucking card art. It's Rindbrum, the Striking Dragon, a.k.a. Look at her! Look at her little glasses! She's fucking ballin'!
I mean, I know why she would, because it's fucking bright next to where she is.
Well, yes, no. Actually, I suspect that she probably needs
bright.
the glasses for eye protection. But also, it means that, canonically, there is an image of Kit with her hair tied back, wearing sunglasses and, like, a leather jacket, flying a fighter jet dragon. This is Rindbrum, the Striking
She had
Dragon.
to build all this shit. I guess it was like she was busy for a few months, or a month or two.
No, she was just doing all of this while all the rest of the plot was happening. Like, remember
I guess
that
her visiting the Therians probably took a day or two, I guess.
Yeah, they traveled to the Iron Country while Albaz and Ecclesia were traveling to the Sword Soul Mountain, so they had to do all of that, and then all of that happened, and then they had to go back to Golconda. And I believe, let me double check the book, but yes. Basically, there's a big fight going on, like I said earlier. Albaz is fucking stuck on the ground. Kit jumps in. She's flying her mechanical dragon. She created it in the Iron Country by combining Sprite Sprind and Bearbrum. So her power armor and the little Sprite jacket thing. And so she combined Abyss and Sprite energy and made a fighter jet dragon with laser cannons. So she picks up Albaz and flies it towards Lubellion.
It has literal time-space rift technology.
Yeah. So, these are armed with these. This is armed with the same cannon that the Bucephalus 2 has. Apparently, she was able to make 3 of those. So, Shirag has 1, and Rindbrum has 2. You can see Albaz is in one of its robotic dragon claws because he can't fucking fly right now. He needs to get up there.
He's like literally on I think he's literally on fumes.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to fuse with anything since a Luber boobered his doober.
He's literally just the consciousness that got spat out, essentially.
Yeah, his physical form got yeeted. But that's okay, because Kit is here with her fucking, like I said, it's a dragon that's a fighter jet. I fucking love this guy.
I just have the dumb thing in my mind of being like, if this is the RPG, this is be the one where we have a fucking ace combat sequence for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we turn it into a shmup a little bit. But yeah, so Rindbrum is a fusion monster. Duh. Arguably, this is a much better fusion if you were playing Tri-Brigade Albaz than the previous one, Brigrand. So this is a dark winged beast fusion. Little awkward being a winged beast, but it works for Tri-Brigade, so it makes sense. It is a level 8. It's 2,500 attack, 2k defense. It involves Fallen of Albaz plus 1 beast warrior, winged beast monster. So you can just literally slap Albaz and Kit together and make this.
I was gonna say that, yeah, pretty much that,
yeah. Yeah. When a fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster's effect is activated, quick effect. Negate that effect and then return 1 monster from the field to the hand. Do not go into that extra deck. How dare you? Stop that. During your opponent's turn, while this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, target a Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard, special summon either that monster or this card and banish the other. You can only use each effect of Rindbrum once per turn. So yeah, Rindbrum is a good card. It is good in branded Albaz decks because you're running, I think it's Springen's Kit. But yeah, she's the one who searches the spell traps you need anyway. So you're running a Kit who is a beast. You have Fallen of Albaz. This is a negate and bounce, once per turn. And also during your opponent's turn, if this card's in your graveyard because you've, pitched it there for some reason, you get to special summon back Albaz. Now, you may be wondering, why is that good, Omega? In case you forgot, Albaz is super poly on legs. When he is special summoned, you can discard a card to fuse. You can now do that on your opponent's turn as a quick effect by just banishing Rindbrum. Alternatively, if you just need the negate, you can banish Albaz, keeping in mind there are, 2 extra cards which count as Albaz in graveyard, to bring back Rindbrum and get access to its quick effect negate. It's a good card. This is a good one. A goodly card. So yeah, It's just all the funny that it's not only is this like a cool looking card, but it is also like a good card in the meta. And so naturally, Albaz decides to score up with Misto Steelyogo Lubellion, which is a Luber in his bestial form. And so Rindbroom rolls up to Lubellion and decides to fucking cap him. But Cartesia jumps in the way, as seen in the card art of Branded Befallen, which is actually a much better name than the OCG name. This was Guided Branded in the OCG. Branded Befallen is a lot better. Great cloud effect, by the way. So, Branded Befallen is a continuous trap card. Sorry, the wiki says it's a quick-like effect. Once per turn, soft once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a bestial monster you control and no other cards, or when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of your bestial monster effect, you can target a light or dark monster in either graveyard, banish it, negate that effect. So, this is a good card because it helps bestial branded decks. This gives you a good thing to do because it gives you a soft once per turn, negate protection. And banishes cards. And also is what is happening. Axe appears to have exploded and died. Alternatively, he's had to, sprint out to, throw out his trash or check his mail or make sure his laundry machine didn't explode or something.
Probably no. I just ran out. When you called me out, it was all the words left my throat.
Well, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt, but okay, you were just
That's
don't have
I
anything to...
Yeah, because it's I like how this looks like fucking box art for a game.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just good. There's good cloud effects, good different levels of shading.
I can also think Alice is about to jump off because no, wait, no, don't do it.
Well, no, don't worry. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
But this is good perspective and distancing. Obviously you've got kind of
she's
the
floating,
foreshortening on there. Cartesia? Yeah, she's magic. She can fucking fly. I think technically you can see the stained glass wings. I think that
she's got
Gwyngadal is kind of part of her. So yeah, I think she can just
it's
dragonfly.
meshed with her I think because it was a construct, so I think it's meshed with her.
Yeah, so she can just dragon wing fly if she feels like it to cover for bestial Lubellion. And I love like I said, I love the detail work of I don't know if the perspective is exactly right with the corner shot, but it looks good, and the different slightly back look of Lubellion here. Very nice, very spicy. Also, like I said, good card. Force your opponent to DD Crow themselves when they try to target your bestials, or when they try to stop your bestials from activating. You're just nah, fam. But, yes. As we say, there is then a follow-up to that. Because Cartesia gets fucking blasted, boopled out of the sky, and of course, Albaz does what every anime pretty boy needs to do. He fucking dives out of the sky, shouting Ecclesia's name. Literally, this is written in the EX book. Ecclesia! With 2 exclamation points. No thought, head empty, only jumping. Jumps and reaches out his hand.
Literally, the only girl he cares about on
one of the few people. I mean, he only knows a dozen people. He has amnesia.
I think he appreciates Kit, but I don't think he knows her really.
Yeah, I mean, he's the poor boy had amnesia. I don't know how many months it was supposed to be this storyline, but he literally I think only knows a dozen people who are still alive.
It's it has to be 3 months or something, because it can't be that short, but it can't be that long.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he doesn't know a lot of people. And specifically the EX book talks about Springen's Watch and Branded Bond cards we've talked about before, about times that they were working together. She held out her hand for him and tried to help him out and stuff. And he remembers and he holds out his hand in return finally. And you've got this beautiful shot of the clouds fucking parting and the sun and like all the stained glass shit as Gwynkin all, breaks up.
It would be a shot in the OP if for
Yeah.
this would be like a shot like in the credits or OP of something.
At the risk of, a chat becoming a little too yonky splinky for me, this is a Kingdom Hearts opening right now. Like, this
I can
is
kind of
just,
see
this
it, but I
is
think
a
it's
Kingdom Hearts
cooler.
opening. Give me Utada Hikaru right up in here.
I can see that because the cloud.
But yeah,
back,
so
yeah.
jumping after what Light of the Branded does, which again, this is actually a literal translation. Rakuin no Hikari. This is a quick play spell card. Target a fusion monster on the field or in either graveyard. Return it to the extra deck. Then you can special summon an Albaz from your graveyard to your field and one monster from your opponent's graveyard to their field. You only activate one Light of the Branded per turn. By the way,
basically, you take your Cartesia and then
Yeah.
you take your Albaz and you fuse them together.
because, by the way, remember, this still special summons Albaz, so immediately after Light of the Branded resolves, you get to Super Poly. This is another good card.
It's also one of those cards where it's basically reenacting the moment on the
Yes.
card.
This is a lovely interplay where this both physically represents what is happening. Albaz ditches Rindbrum to jump off and save, Ecclesia, who is currently Cartesia. And then despite the fact that arguably both he and her are probably in the graveyard because they have been getting their ass beat.
Ironically, I feel like if they
so
made a
that-
solo mode, when they ever make a solo mode of this would be a fight where you basically are playing Branded Tri-Brigade versus, I think, honestly, Bestial.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Which, by the way, there was a Master Duel generic survey. I did say, because they had a specific section about solo mode, I did say, please add an Albaz/Abyss solo mode. Like the World Legacy one. Thank you.
It would be 3 parts or something.
Yeah, but it would be good. It would be a good 3 parts. They pulled it off with World Legacy. I'd love to see it.
It's also because of also these interplay cards. Like I guess the better way is to call them interplay cards. I guess.
Yeah.
Because of interplay cards like this, like I said, you literally could just this could be just a moment where you're literally playing the Tri Brigade Branded versus I think a Bestial.
Probably just Bestial, branded Bestial. Just play
No,
the,
not
the,
Branded Bestial, but like Bestial. Not Dramaturge. What's the name of the actual them again?
Despia?
Yeah, it would be Despia Bestial.
Yeah, you can play Despia. You can. That works as a deck, and you can. That works as a
it's a
lore.
Luber. Because it's basically Alba versus a Luber essentially.
Yeah. There's quite a few fun matchups they could do there, but yeah. So this is a card that, obviously Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't always hit that. We've talked about and joked about quote unquote lore cards or anime cards. This is one of those rare cases where this card is absolutely lore and also is a really good card. It does what you think it does based on the story and the art, but that's also good. We figured out how to do a good effect. And so,
Where's it go?
he manages to catch up to the falling girl and decides to go, Super Saiyan mode. This card it was in Cyberstorm Access, so this card is not in Master Duel yet, so I will have to find card art real quick.
Probably uploaded this time.
Oh, yeah, these are all popular, so there probably is.
Because
It just
people
means
probably
I'll
want to like
have
commemorate
to
so
resize
people
it
can
and stuff.
Yeah.
But here is technically this is our last Albaz fusion. That's a little too small. Hold on, let me do 75 there. I got a little blurry. And it's still a little blurry on the shrink, but it's too fucking big at 100%. So this is Albion, the Sanct Fire Dragon. Shin Enryu Albion, the True Flame Dragon in the OCG. Art-wise, not really a lot to add here. I mean, it's Albaz's, Albion Dragon form, but all white. He does have the little Mirror Jade bit sticking out as his horn, which is a cute detail I never noticed before. But, he's got extra armor plating. He's got kind of like the red diamonds, like what was going on with Cartesia as well. He's got some of his extra bits.
It's very reminiscent of like Ecclesia's armor, which I think is important.
Yeah.
It's also got her hair going, honestly.
Yeah, Albaz doesn't normally have this long hair, so it's got like long flowing hair, though it is white.
Ironically,
like
it's also got the Ice Jade knife or the Ice
yeah,
Jade
Mirror,
pick.
and Mirror Jade. He still, I think he's still got that in his back pocket, so he's still got the little bit of
It's
Mirror.
probably because
Mirror
it's what they use to hurt. Because it's probably what you can actually hurt a Luber with.
But he's, it's a good look. I love the golden fire effect. This is actually plot important. But yeah, Albaz reaches the falling Cartesia. They are enveloped in brilliant light, and then
It's not Saint powers.
basically even the lore book is like, we don't fucking know what happened. Maybe it's Albaz's dragon transformation power. Maybe it's the power of the Saint Cartesia. Maybe it's a miracle when the two of them came together.
I think it's literally. I think it's a mix of both of those things.
Yes,
but it's like
canonically, Albaz takes back Ecclesia from Cartesia. He removes Ecclesia from the Cartesia equation, so Cartesia no longer exists.
So that was just Clem, I think. Yeah.
Technically, there's a card before that, but we'll get there in a second. And
right,
then he becomes Albion the Sanctifier Dragon, and then he releases these golden flames from his body, which reach everywhere, and basically does the fucking Z-Wave from Power Rangers or any other, like, we created the giant light and the enemies all die. It's like the very ending kind of the very ending of the original Kingdom Hearts when we open it and light shoots out.
Actually, do you know the Control, right?
Yeah.
That game. I think it's more of makes a reverse signal to basically to the void to like the holes. Because in my mind, it's called Albion, which is kind of important that it's called Albion, because I think in this case it's meant to be, this is, I guess, more an actual like pure and I guess good version of what Aluber did when he forced Albaz to fuse with him.
Well, remember, Albaz has been Albion before. That has been his Dragon King form a couple of times. There was the Blazing
Sure, but I guess in this case,
this is his truest form because it's the true fire dragon, the Sanctifier.
Powered by basically.
But basically, what happens is it says specifically the malicious forms of Despia that are touched by these golden flames are enveloped in light and transformed back into their human forms. So it glows super bright white, and any Despia it touches is basically purified, as opposed to being fucking killed.
I mean, yeah, because I guess it's in my mind now. It makes you think about how I guess all of Dogmatica's powers are basically pulling from, I guess, this kind of power, but it was like a corrupted version of it.
Yeah, something like that. We know that the brands they had, the stigma they had, did have a power that was holy. It was just that what's his face, Maximus, aka Dramaturge, was manipulating it. So Albion the Sanctifier Dragon is a level 8 light dragon fusion, 3k attack, 2500 defense. So he's quite large in this form. The materials are exactly what you would fucking expect. Albaz plus a light spellcaster. So this means that Cartesia works. So does both versions of Ecclesia. So does also, by the way, super polying. If you normal summon Albaz, you can. I don't know. Albazoa is unaffected by activated effects, so I don't know if that means he can be used as material. I think unaffected dodges super poly.
I'm not sure. I'd
have to double check with Dallas or some of our other rules experts. Maybe chat knows.
I've heard Dallas know, but maybe he might see someone do it.
But there's definitely like it. Funnily enough, does work with, for instance, Fleur de Lis. I believe it does work with some of the other Dogmatica ritual monsters. It does work with Maximus, as you said, which is very funny. So yeah,
I enjoy the dumb thing of it being more of. It's what the first effect is the one you think it is, like how the previous one was very much Kit. This one's very much Ecclesia, which is like I think that's the point. But it's flexible for the sake of being playable.
Yes. We understand that even with cards that can pretend to be other cards, it's much better if you have flexibility. And like I said, the idea that you can do this from a gameplay standpoint, you can do this with your own, Virtuous Ecclesia or Blazing Cartesia or other cards down the line. There's some fun stuff there. Albion cannot be used as fusion material. You don't super poly me. I only super poly you. Your opponent can't target this card with card effects.
Because how I imagine this is like you're playing it you're not playing it in a direct mirror, but you're playing it against a Bestial deck. So technically they could super poly you, it's perfect. Exactly.
You can't do that. Yeah, you cannot be super poly because your opponent cannot try any of the Albion type effects. Your opponent can't target this card with card effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Albion once per turn. During your opponent's
That's
turn,
cool, fun.
quick effect. Target 2 monsters in any graveyard. Special summon both monsters, 1 to each field. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute 4 monsters, 2 in the extra monster zones, 2 in the central main monster zones, if you do summon this card. That second effect almost never happens, but it's very funny. Basically, if your opponent is using the EMZ and you use the EMZ, then...
Basically, if you and Aluber are fighting.
If you form a diamond, specifically, it has to form the diamond shape.
Yeah. That makes sense, considering the actual background to it, yeah.
But you get to tribute them and summon him, which is very funny. You're almost never going to get that card out, but you could, which is, again, silly.
Honestly, I could see them do a visual effect of, like, they make the Brandon White symbol appear on the field.
Yeah. I hope that because this isn't in Master yet. I hope this guy gets an animation.
Honestly,
the effect that is good is the quick effect, special summon from the graveyard, because that can interrupt graveyard effect activations or banishing. You talked about a hypothetical branded mirror, right? This would be good for that. Your opponent tries to,
branded special
bestial kind of thing. Your opponent's like, I'm going to banish a dark monster to summon my boy. And then you're like, quick effect. Actually, I special summon 2 boys. Fuck you. Also, one of those boys is Albaz. I go again. Remember, every time you special summon well, I think it's once per turn. But, when you special summon Albaz, if you've got a card in hand.
It's a soft luck per turn, I think. Or is it a hard?
I'll double check, actually.
Because I think that... Honestly, I wanted to say this earlier, but... I think if when they actually make the Albaz Abyss storyline, or at least season 1 of the Abyss storyline, because we'll get to that. We'll get to why I say that later. But when they ever start doing that, like the 3 arcs, of actually I guess it'd be 4 arcs technically, but they can condense the first 2 into one thing. Because
it's a matter of how many duels they actually need to do.
It'd be Dogmatica, and then it'd be like the City of Dogmatica, then Golgonda, then.
I mean, honestly, with the
Sword Soul Ethereal arc, and then the final battle arc.
With the way that they format, they could probably do it in 2 phases. Like you would do one phase up to because the World Legacies have several branches. Yeah, one phase up until Ecclesia gets taken, basically, and then one phase for the second battle, with a long side path for the Therian Sprite Springen stuff.
Which probably reconvenes back where you get this one.
Because there's several branches, yeah.
I can also see a thing of being like, if they ratio the cards right, it's also a good way to show people, I guess, what like high power Yu-Gi-Oh is.
Yeah, it would be a gradual build, but it would involve a lot of cool decks. Also, yes, Fallen of Albaz is a hard once per turn.
Okay. Makes sense, because otherwise
but still, it's a quick effect from graveyard, so yeah, you can do a lot of you can still do a lot of funny stuff. So it's a good card. Albion combos, Sanctifier Albion combos are fairly popular in branded builds now. Because it's, again, already using cards you want to use. There is one more card art, though, related to this particular event, talking about that golden light. If I can find the art for it, though. Actually, I probably should have said in the survey they should release cards faster. Master Duel is getting better. They actually released 2 whole new secret packs. There is a dedicated Sword Soul secret pack now, for instance, and the other is Punk. They are mixed with other archetypes just to fill out like all the rarities, but still, that's really good that they're like straight up adding more secret packs that actually, trigger to important card archetypes. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a good full art of this, so we're gonna have to just grab the card as printed. I mean, art-wise, it's not that super important, but Brightest Blazing Branded King basically shows Albaz continuing his Super Saiyan streak here.
Honestly, that'd be the name of the OP.
Yeah. This is, in Japanese, this is Kagayakiru o no Rakuin, so Sparkling King's Brand. This, again, continues our actual plot thing happening as this flies out, it illuminates everywhere,
It's like Japanese block art and like
the dragons are kind of, blocked up, and this is when Albazoa eats the other Bestials and turns into Bestial Despotter because he is being slightly tickled and is not sure what the fuck is happening, so he, turns into a giant dragon man. It was a bad idea. becomes, Dispater. He's not super juiced up. He turns to Albion to try and fucking eat him, but that's not going to work out because some stuff's going to happen. Brightest blazing branded king, there are 2 commas in this, is a normal trap. Choose a fusion monster you control that mentions Fallen of Valdez as material. Negate the effects of all other face-up cards currently on the field until the end of this turn. During the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to your graveyard this turn, add this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use 1 effect per turn, only once that turn. So it's a little slow because you can only use 1 effect per turn. But this is just a good way to set up, if you get the cards outright, to just set up and be like, yo, blag, I shall now negate all effects on the field. And so it's time for the very finalist of battles. Number 1. Because Dispater has popped out and is trying to eat Albion. That's very bad. We need to stop that. How can we stop that? Well, canonically, according to the valuable book, EX, he gets blasted with red lightning. Because it's Despian Luluwaith. Let me make sure that's centered.
Fleur showed up to do the last thing she could do to help her old friend.
Yep.
Except she's in there. She's a saint.
Yes.
I just didn't know that for the longest time, because I think a lot of people initially, before the book came fully translated out, before it got translated fully,
Yes.
People thought Fleur was the final boss, essentially.
Yeah, people didn't realize, because it's still called Despian, people didn't realize that technically...
That she was being puppeted basically as like an emotional tactic.
Yeah, basically that Luluwaith, sorry, which is a combination of the names. It's I don't know how they got away with this in English because it is just straight up, but it's the name Lulua, which is supposed to be the oldest daughter of Adam and Eve, and then Lilith. So, yeah, it's just,
The darkest and brightest daughter.
very, very, very biblical up in here. Got a weird, cool sword thing going on. Got like one little weird goopy dragon hand. I think that's all that's left of Gwynganol. I do kind of like the interplay here. Like obviously it's fleur-de-lis type face, but got like one normal armor leg and then one monstrous armor leg because, as we said earlier, Gwynganol is made from Quiritis, which is made from her armor, which is a sacred relic. So basically, this is,
back in her armor
with
again,
the power of 665 saints, Fleur-de-lis has her armor and other shit back. And it still knows sword soul things. So yeah.
It's still her memories. So yeah.
Because she's still in there. And yeah, she just shoots Dispater with a blob of lightning because she's fucking angry.
Yeah, that's her That's her signature move. Also,
this does canonically say, because, Cartesia was fracturing without the 666th saint, Fleur-de-lis is the most powerful soul. So she takes control to protect Ecclesia, and then, all that stuff comes back, and she is now she has obtained the power of the first and final sword soul. Dispater is very mad, blah, blah, blah. Sargas blew up the castle, the theater.
Yeah. In my mind, it's the thing of, in death, she became her strongest, but I think she's also probably killing herself, basically taking the pilot seat for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the reader is the final collaborator. The EX book has very short paragraphs on this, so there's no specific knowledge of that later. We'll talk a little bit about their final form. Yeah, I think that honestly, probably what's happening is they're making sure to leave stuff open so that they can write more later. Yeah. Because
we get to later, but there's some bits that aren't resolved out.
Yeah. Funnily enough, this has a clear cliffhanger. But yeah, Luluwaith is the power of Fleur-de-lis and Iris Sword Soul together, back with her armor, and also a lot of other stuff, and she's mad, so she's gonna blow up a guy. Because Dispater sucks. So Despian Luluwaith is a light which is another, key reason that it's not perfect because there's some bestials obviously that are lights and stuff like that. But this is a light spellcaster, so we're keeping some themes. Level 12, so exact same levels as your boy Albazoa. 25-25, so fairly low stats for the synchro requirements. It requires 1 level 4 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Gee, I wonder what possible level 4 tuner you're supposed to be using with this. Is it some variation of Ecclesia? Anyway, once per turn, if a card leaves the extra deck, except during the damage step, make all monsters you currently control gain 500 attack permanently. Then negate the effects of a face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. During the end phase, if this card's in your graveyard because it was sent there this turn, special summon a light spellcaster from your hand or deck whose attack equals its own defense. You can use this effect of Lulu Waith once per turn. So despite the fact that she's called Despian, I don't think you play this in Despia builds. More, this is just, once again, you've just got a fucking giant synchro you can make in Albaz branded builds, because you'll be using, Cartesia or Virtuous Ecclesia as the tuner. Then you just need, some non-tuners. You can bin her to the graveyard to summon an Ecclesia, or make all your monsters get big. I personally think that, I get why they went with the 12, because it's supposed to be, the symbolism, Because I think both Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis and Iris Swordsoul are 8s. I'm double checking. Yes, they're both level 8, so I think the idea is that you literally can make this by just wambo-camboing, the two Swordsoul, Ecclesia and Iris together, or, Virtuous Ecclesia or Cartesia, and, Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis, etc., etc. So, it works out thematically, but in normal deck play stuff, boy howdy, that's a lot of fucking stars you gotta make on a synchro for a card that only has 25-25. It does gain 500 attack forever, but it's all right. The art's sick, but I think that the card is not as...
It's funny how you play as a Despia card, but
yeah.
Hey, it's like the last Despian cards anyway, because I don't think they're going to make more Despia cards, though. They might make more Bestial cards, though.
Yeah. But, it's another Syac, yeah. It's funny how this really all, TCG-wise, only wrapped up very, very recently. Because a lot of these cards that we're getting into now are from Cyberstorm Access, which was, May. It was a couple months ago now. Technically, is it 3? Was it early? Yeah, it's 3 months ago now. So, usual cycle of release, but still very funny. Oh, it just looped me back around to where it was. Come on, this card's cool. You guys don't have fucking full art? Somebody made a, fan-made alternate layout with, a full border card art, but somebody on the internet can't fucking blow up this card art. God. I'm so annoyed. Yeah, well, I guess you gotta just look at the card. Because, we're, like I said, we're pushing up cards in Master Duel. Please, all of you, log into your Master Duel and ask them to release cards faster. There's literally no reason for Master Duel to be, a year behind the current card pool. But this is Swordsoul Punishment. Arguably the last Swordsoul card. I really wish there was a full art of this because it's fucking rad. Look at this shit.
It's her doing the semi-final blow to the boss.
No, this is the final blow.
Oh.
I mean,
The last time-
technically, Bucephalus is supposed to also be hitting it at the same time. I think that's why you can see some blue lightning in there as well. But yeah, no, this is it. This is just Potter's getting fucking dunkled. But it's a really cool shot. You know, you've got the fucking dramatic glowing eye. You've got the sweeping arm in, like, this really blown-out, stylized style. Love the way this lightning is drawn with the lighting. Like, this is good. This is a real good card art. And obviously, Dispatter is getting his fucking ass kicked. Which is cool. And obviously
Turns
you
out
can
Fleur was always one of the strongest people ever.
Well, yeah, like I said, they literally, that was in the reason why she became Lilith is because she was apparently the strongest, most virtuous soul. She did have like 4 stigmas. I think she had 4, 1 in each limb. So she was pretty juiced up. But this is basically the finishing move she was trying to do. What was that actually called? Was it another Sword Soul card? I don't remember. It might have been a Tri-Brigade card, but she did a similar lightning attack on what she thought was Maximus, aka Dramaturge, but was actually Coritis. But we've covered that card already, so. And there's a lot of cards. I joked about this being an 80-hour JRPG. I do actually need to go back and like look at how physically, if you add up all the Abyss lore, all the Abyss Fail Portrayal streams together, how many hours it took us to get through these. There's a lot of cards and a lot of hours. Okay, guys.
20.
Anyway, Sword Soul Punishment says if you control a Synchro monster, target a card on the field or in either graveyard, banish it. If your opponent controls a Ritual Fusion, Synchro Xyz, or Link monster, you can banish a Synchro monster from your graveyard, add this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can use each effective punishment once per turn. So yeah, punishment just lets you do a banish, a DD Crow. This is good in Sword Soul because it has Sword Soul synergy. And then, it has, pullback. So it's an okay card. The card art is much better than the card itself. I don't actually know if you need, like, a DD Crow normal spell in Sword Soul, but it's not a card that hurts Sword Soul. We've already seen what Tri-Brigade Roar is, so that's the other Wombo combo. And then, yeah, it's basically, it's all cleanup from here, baby. And so we have one last branded card. This was in Cyberstorm. Actually, no. I will search to see if somebody's done this card art. You have, son of a bitch. You are all fucking Aluber simps, internet. Fuck you. How dare you? I can't believe you've done this. It's Etude of the Branded. No idea why somebody decided to fucking draw this art full.
This is like a flashback to, like, I think hours before the battle or something.
No.
Oh, that's not Maximus, is that?
No, that's I don't remember what he was called as a Despian, but yeah, it's the other guy. Dispatter gets fucking blasted, turned to ash because he gets melted by all the stuff. Aluber is just like, neat. And he just, is like, well, I'm a little gremlin, bye. So you never know. You said earlier there might not be more Despian cards. Hypothetically, we could.
Technically, yeah. I think it mostly came from
Maximus described as this guy, his other half. So there's still some wiggle room.
There might be, like, how there's, like, a Remnant Sprite card. There might be a Remnant Despia card at some point.
We could get, again, I don't remember what the fuck. All of the, Dallas probably remembers what they're called because he is also extremely try-hard, but I don't remember what any of the any Despian is like. There's tragedy, there's comedy. I remember Dramaturge because I've had to remember it like 40 times. I think I can say Coritis. The rest are just like, fucking whatever, dude. Despia, Doober, and Boober, and Gloober. I guess I didn't remember albeit Aluber, but, that guy's barely a Despia card. He's just for searching Branded Fusion. Anyway, Etude of the Branded. Literally, Rakuin no Echido, the etude part, is included in the Japanese name. And if you are curious, an etude is a short musical composition. It's the jingle of the Branded. It's a continuous trap card. It says during either player's turn, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon one synchro monster using monsters you control, including a dragon. You can use this effective Etude of the Branded once per turn. While you control a bestial monster, banish any monsters that would be sent to your opponent's graveyard as tributes for a ritual summon or as material for their fusion, synchro, or link summon. So it's a weird macro for bestial, and also I think is supposed to enable you to play Lulu Waif in bestial decks. Like to set her up when you've got guys on the board. Lulu, but yeah, it's a weird one. Again, this is I think one of those cards they just added just to show you that Aluber's not dead. Also, because it was in the trivia page, because I was double-checking what Etude does, they do say that it's ad libitum is Hashian's new mode. Also, notice that Aluber here still has his Masquerade wings and horns. So, he's still got some of his dragonification powers.
I think it's like, I think it's literally, Hashian shows up as like, it's basically because Aluber's sitting, this is Aluber from a bestial Aluber, basically it's like him in the throne.
Not yet, no. Remember, Axe, I'm looking at the EX story guide. I know what's happening.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I was.
He says, the literal quote to let everybody know is, Dispotter was scorched by the golden flames of Albion, and it, along with the demi-dragons it had consumed, turned to ash and faded away. He's fucking dead. It's done. Technically, that does, I think, mean that... No, they say that Shurag and Lulu and Lilith, create a mortal wound, and then he just melts. But Dispatter melts, and it says, observing that scene out of the corner of his eye, Aluber slowly descended. He gave the being prostrating before him words of gratitude and praise. Just like a jester, he seemed very, very pleased. I'm going to assume that's probably way more poetic in Japanese. It's just kind of a dorky line, but yeah, Aluber just looks at Dispatter dying and is like, sucks for you, nude. Bye. And, moves on. And then we enter the epilogue mode. That's where Bestial Aluber is, who we've already mentioned. We might pull his card up again, but there's a couple others to talk about in the Epilogue. The first is Ice Jade. Whoa, that's really big. Hold on. Let's do that, like 50? That's still really fucking big, but you get all the detail. Ice Jade Ran Agorin. So, Agorin is now, Queen of the Ice Jades. She's sitting in her little throne. That made that really big. She's got a little bit of the darkening, but she's still got most of her juice left. She's got a little bit of a slight new look. She's sitting on the throne. And, Longwan's just, bottled up in her ice cave, because fuck you.
She's forever imprisoned the man who took her mother, and now she's going to slowly rebuild her people.
Yeah.
So,
since that happened, they talk about, the Golgonda War, days and months past, keep going on. She sealed, the Empress of Isis sealed her enemy in the cradle. And then it says, this is a weird read, by the way, again, talking about ambiguous things. The Mother Zoa sleeping in the further depths of the Ice Jade Cenote shut all of the sacred summit in cold ice, much like the heart of Aegorin, so it won't crumble again. It's a weird read. Basically, I think the idea is that either, I think because of Cosmoclore, the Ice Jades are supposed to be another one of the 4 Zoas or something.
Yeah, or at least the Emperor's supposed to be is.
Yes. But she's, refortified the Sacred Summit to be covered in ice. So I think the Sword Souls are gone now. Even though a couple of them, like Taya and some of the other guys, are not canonically killed, but I don't know if they can live on their ice mountain anymore.
Well, Taya was never really a main character anyway.
Yeah. He was just a guy. So she's frozen everything up.
It's
so
still
it can't
weird
get
that
broken
Taya's literally meant to be a spear holder, essentially.
Yeah. You need some extra guys.
I mean, it's like Theo, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, what is it? Theo, I think, lost an arm, and we just haven't seen Aiden again in some of the concept art. So, hopefully we'll see those boys again. I kind of hope they didn't die in a giant explosion or something.
Yeah, because Thir's gone, so, hey, we gotta have, some people around still.
Well, and remember, all the Despians got turned back into people, so, the Dogmatica Nation has to, rebuild,
Probably is a different place, yeah.
Yeah, so there's room there. So Ice Jade Ran Agarin is a Aqua Water Tuner, level 7, 1500 attack, 2500 defense. This card's name becomes Ice Jade Cenote Enion Cradle while it is equipped with an equip card. So, this is a monster that becomes your very important field spell.
It becomes all of the components of it, too, actually, so you can basically make the Floodgate.
Yeah, so you can discard one other Ice Jade card or water monster, special summon this card from your hand. Then you can special summon an Ice Jade token, Aqua Water, level 3. While this token is in the monster zone, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except water. You can only use this effect of Agarin once per turn. So Agarin can summon itself out and basically does a Sword Soul. You get to summon an Ice Jade token. Which is a level 3, which means you can go into the level 10 Synchro. So, there's a lot of cute here. I think it's a little weird that they use this as, the dub effect for the field spell, as opposed to just, putting it on another spell. But I guess Ice Jades have a lot of continuous spells already, and the field spell and stuff, so, It's odd. But I'll take it. And, it's another level 7 tuner. It instantly makes the Synchro. Technically, it makes any Water 10 Synchro. I don't know if there's a lot of those out there, but they do exist. I do appreciate that they did Waterlock you, so you cannot just use it for Baronne Turbo. Obviously, that would make this Ice Jade deck a lot better, because Sword Soul can Baronne Turbo. But also, then why the fuck are you playing Ice Jades? You can just play Sword Soul and do the same thing. So this is thematically appropriate. While still working on those things. And then we move on to probably the... Well, no, that's not true. Two of our whatchamacallit, our epilogue cards are very confusing and ambiguous. Let's look at the first one. Guiding Quem the Virtuous.
So all the remaining Sens, and then technically the first Saint took over after Fleur basically burned herself out to kill the final boss.
So
around.
A girl walks around, talks as if she is with somebody else, because technically she is. It's got the Greebles from Quiritis is still lurking around. It just doesn't look like another person. Fleur-de-Lis, soul sunk to the lowest depth, and then Quem, the original unifier of the Virtuous Vestals, no longer had her lonesome expression, and, turned her back on the great nation that had lost its glory. So, yeah. Quem, the first saint, is back, because that was the white relic, was they tried to create a new saint, but actually they summoned back the first saint, because Maximus didn't actually need a new saint after Ecclesia. Now, Quem is in charge of the body, so it looks different. It's a good look. I don't know if this... No, okay, yeah, it's a slightly kilter angle. She's standing with her feet together, but she's got swoopies on her dress. It's a good dress. It's got the little red gem effect, and she's got, her little crown from back when she was, Cartesia. Let me actually double check what the name of this was in Japanese. Yeah, it's Quem the Guiding Saint. Okay. So she kind of like is doing her own thing, but decided not to fix the Dogmatica Nation, so she's off on her own. It's interesting. She's still got that weird little guy with her. The fucking way we've drawn Coritis now is really cool, like with all the like sketchy shadow and eyeball linked stuff going on. That's really neato. But yeah, she's just chilling. She's super goth now. Sorry,
I don't know much else. I don't know what to really say besides I just think all the lights, cloth layering. It's like very nice cloth design, but again, I feel like they took out all kind of stops for like this part of the point where it's like because they do need to end on a good way.
Yeah. So
it did well, I think.
Quem is a level 4 spellcaster tuner with 1500 attack and 1500 defense. Who could have fucking guessed?
Every saint is except Fleur is like this.
Well, I mean, Fleur still has the same attack as she does defense.
I meant like a level 4 light spellcaster. Yeah. Even like the ritual, even like with the resurrected, even like the last saint they made.
Yeah. But White Relic, I don't think has the same. I think she's got like a 0 attack or something. They have some different themes. But first of all, Guiding Quem is always treated as a Dogmatica and a Despia card. It is both. It has a parenthetical. Being a level 4 tuner, this does mean, by the way, you can set up for Lulubelith, and also it works as a target for Albion Sanctifier. If this card is normal or special summoned, send one Fallen of Albaz or one card that mentions it from your deck to the graveyard. If a card, or technically cards, leaves the extra deck except in a damage step, target one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it in your graveyard except Guiding Quem, special summon it. You can use each effect of Guiding Quem once per turn. So, like, lore-wise, I'm not actually sure what they may be implying with this card. Mechanically, I think she's just, like, yet another copy of, the Ecclesia setup. She gives you a good normal. She counts as a Dogmatic and a Despia card if you're trying to do those builds. Lets you do Albaz setup stuff. Lets you recover cards. And just in general, it's a good piece. But this could be, a lean-in for some stuff we've got working on later. But also, yeah, if you're playing branded decks, Albaz decks, Quem is very good. She's a very important card. And the reason I think why she counts as a, a Despian as well is because her name is from the other half of the phrase, Quem Queritus. That's a Latin phrase which means, whom do you seek? It's part of, like, a liturgical drama and stuff like that. But also, it's... Queritus is, the verb for seeking, and Quem is, like, the who question. So she is the who, Queritus is the seeking. They kind of go together. It's a cute little trick. But yeah, okay. We got another saint. And then the other what the fuck is that card? We literally don't even know. This card is just a fucking teaser for other shit because I don't even know what the fuck this guy does. Like I haven't seen this one in a lot of decks or anything. Fallen of Ajarus.
Oh, this is meant to be a weird link between Branded and Sprite.
I mean, yeah, mechanically, I think that's what it's for.
Because
but
I think
yeah,
it's just really a remnant of.
Well, that part, lore-wise, I can't explain what he is. So Fallen of Agyros is basically, it's called Fallen, as in the same term as Fallen of Albaz, Agyros no Rakuin. So Agyros, Fallen of Agyros. This is basically a spontaneous, creature. He has no memories. It's the energy that the sprites, all used in the Great Grand Sand Sea, and the physical remnants of Albalos, the bestial Albalos that got blown up by the Thundercross attack. Created a persona, so a singular person. It says this is a byproduct. It has no progenitors, but possesses its own will. Began marching, almost as if, quote unquote, guided by something. What exactly that something is not clear. But there are multiple design elements here. So this has armor like Lubellion. It is wearing Sprin's coat, and you can see the blue and red sprite energy in it coming together to form purple energy. It also has the gem necklace from Sargaz.
Ironically, I think, like, if there was a timeline to the cards, I think this is one of the last ones, because in the thing, actually, there's, like, there's a finale card.
Yeah.
I think this is actually after the finale card, because you can see the people involved up there in the corner.
Yeah, I think this is supposed to be taking place kind of simultaneously, but yeah, this
I
is
think
this is
like the
technically
guy you see
speaking,
before the credits roll, I guess.
Yeah, technically speaking, like, this is literally the way it's listed in the EX book is Ran Aegerin, Quem, Fallen of Agyros, Bestial Aluber, New Frontier. So, like, technically, you are right that I think that he. I mean, we don't even know
I think
necessarily
he's meant to
that
be
he's
like
a
the
he,
credits
'cause this is
reveal
kind of
character.
Like this is your
Post-credits
your
scene.
your MCU post credits of like, hey, there's an extra guy out there. What are they about? I don't know. Art wise, I think Fallen of Agyros looks pretty rad. Like the Sprind coat with the sleeves and the two colors of energy, and then the like Lubellion armor.
I know this is kind of like done to death, but he really much looks like anime Dark Souls, anime Dark Souls character.
Yeah. Well, hey, there are rumors that there is going to be a Dark Souls anime.
I mean, there's probably ways to do it.
Netflix is shopping around.
Ironically, it'd be way easier to make a Sekiro anime because that actually has a linear story.
That is a very direct plot. I mean, a lot of people are like, yes, we're going to get a grimdark anime. Apparently, there's an official manga for Dark Souls, which is more parody based.
Well, that's the Elden Ring one where it's a joke manga, yeah.
Yeah, Elden Ring also has one. So like, I think there's room for that as well. But we'll see if it's even true. It's rumored. But yeah, this is Fallen of Agyros. It's a weird one. Obviously supposed to be kind of a dovetail, an echo of where we started with Fallen of Albaz. We're ending with this guy. But this is not quite as an iconic centerpiece card as Albaz is. So I don't know if that means when they pick this up for a future story thing, which I think they might. We got like a couple days left on a countdown, I think, to like Konami 25th anniversary announcements they're working on. So, we'll see. But it's an odd one. This is a Dark Thunder level 2. It's got 700 attack, 700 defense. If a level, rank, or link 2 monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand to either field. You only special summon Fallen of Agyros once per turn this way. Neither player can activate the effects of link monsters that point to this card. So it's kind of like a Nightmare Ibli kind of like, blocker. Or, what's that one fucking Destiny hero? Dark Angel, which negates your own spell effects, like a gremlin. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, target an Xyz monster on the field to attach 1 or 2 materials from it. You can only use this effect of Agyros once per turn. So, Agyros negates link monsters it points to and can detach Xyz materials. Arguably, these are both useful because it can be used as a counter card to both Springans and Sprite, and also just in general the Sprite because you can pinch materials off of Gigantic Sprite. But yeah, this is not nearly as good as Fallen of Albaz. Time will tell if they decide to pick this up and actually like turn it into a proper archetype later. But for now, it's just a weird tech card. I think you would probably side deck in your own sprites for like the mirrors and shit. It's a weird one. And we do technically have one more card that was not in the EX book, but is still relevant as well.
Ironically, I think this might be the last ever sprite card they'll make.
Possibly. I mean, sprites are pretty good, and were really, really good in the OCG, because it took a while for tier limits to crystallize the same way. The OCGs just didn't play what we call casino tier over here.
Fair.
So, like, Sprite was literally the best deck for a long time. Is there? No, there's no good full art of this. But yeah, this is a little extra little thing. Specifically, we can also see what's going on there. This is basically that shot of Ranagrin from farther out. This is a... Actually, yeah, I think I can grab a even better, because that's not even the right name. That was a translation. They actually ended up translating this pretty literally. Million Century Ice Prison. Fuck you. 1 million centuries jail.
By then, you'll just he'll pull a cars and just stop thinking.
Literally, again, literally how this is written in Japanese. It is Okanen no Hyobo. So it is a long fucking time. They went for a literal translation here. This is a quick play spell card that says, during the main phase, if a monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's monster effect, except by being destroyed, activate one of these effects. End the main phase, skip main phase one of your opponent's next turn. You can only activate Ice Prison once per turn. So this is not necessarily directly an Ice Jade card. Obviously, lore-wise, it is related to Ice Jades. And a lot of Ice Jades do have cards which punish your opponent for removing them by their own effects. So this is a weird counterplay card. It's very spicy because it literally, if you do it on your opponent's turn, ends the main phase. And if you do it on your turn, you get to skip your opponent's main phase 1, which, by the way, means they go immediately to battle phase. And then I think they have to go to end phase. I don't remember. I can't recall if you can physically go to main phase 2 if you don't have a main phase 1. A lot of weird interactions like that. This literally just came out like last week in Duelist Nexus. I don't think it's seen any play since then. It's a weird side deck card. Like, it's like Spellbound and all those other like weird punishes you can do, you know? It's funny, but it's not super relevant other than just being, you know, more card art. And now, so then it's time for the last one. Final card of this saga for now. That said, we were all super happy to see it. No full art of this? You're fucking letting me down, Internet. Again, somebody did a full blow-up of Etude of the Branded, but not New Frontier? God, I hope Aluber, like, fucking gets eaten by the new big boss or something. Absolutely gets animated out. Whatever, I'll grab the card art, just the card scan. There's also some concept art we can grab as well. But it's New Frontier. Hey, look, chat. A happy ending. It happened. I know it doesn't usually happen in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but it did happen. For once.
The happy ending is real.
Yeah. So it looks like, number one, Albaz and Ecclesia managed to unfuse. That's good. That was probably awkward. They're separate again.
Probably learned a lot about each other that day.
Ecclesia doesn't have her hammer anymore, but they do have a little skyboat car thing, which does appear to have Rocky in it. Kit is waving them off. I and a lot of people made honeymoon jokes about this. That I don't think that's actually implied by the story anywhere, but it is kind of funny to imagine them, you know, riding in the Just Married car. It does look like they're being escorted by some Springans in the air, though. Kit is waving them off, obviously. It looks like they're in kind of like a little, you know, refugee camp or ruins maybe of the Dogmatica city. There are some Springans down there. There's some robed people. That could be like Aiden or somebody down there. No, obviously not canonically, but, you know, it could be. It looks like they're being helped out by some Tri-Brigade beast people, because that looks like another cat person down there. You know, there's some good shit. And they're just about to, you know, go off on their new adventure. Explicitly, since basically Dogmatica as a nation is over, it has been removed. You know, they destroyed it in the Golgonda War. There is, you know, people moving forward. There's more chaos to be had, but this is the epilogue called The Opened Land. So basically, you know, They're ready to rock out. Yeah, the scars of war hadn't healed, but resentment still lingered. But the Tri-Brigades and the Dogmatica Knights basically made peace. They start rebuilding. Albaz and Ecclesia resolve to go on a journey. They do the EX book phrases that journey to take back what was beloved to them. That I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe they're searching for Quem, because technically Quem includes Fleur-de-Lis, Iris. And Luber still has some of our poor boy's juice. He's still got the little diamond gem. But they're packed for, dangers and stuff. And, they give us this hint that there are further conflicts to be had. So it does end with the story, will be continued, Albaz and Ecclesia will return kind of a thing, right? But until then, happy endo. This is a field spell, by the way. It says if your opponent special summons a Ritual Fusion, Xyz, Synchro, or Link monsters, you can do one of these things. Add a Fallen of Albaz, or a monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. Special Albaz, or a monster that mentions it from your hand. You can use each effect once per turn. So you can use both in one turn. Again, this is a spell card that mentions Fallen of Albaz, so it's searchable. I think you do actually, play this in some versions of Branded, because Branded itself doesn't necessarily have a field spell. And this certainly gives you interruption tools. Again, your opponent summons from the extra deck. You're like, cool, special summon Albaz, discard 1, make Sprind, or any of your other valid targets, right? There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with that. It's a solid one. This image is a little blurry, but... Sorry, you're hearing bips on my end because I accidentally hit save instead of the the copy. But we have a couple of bonus concept arts. It's a little small, but here is Lewis art. You get to see a little bit more design. Do you notice that both of her armor legs are different in this? So it does kind of look like maybe the darkness of Coriatus kind of flows over different parts of her body at different times. There's also this thing that was pointed out. There's a weird Quem-shaped growth on her back, which is the arm, I guess. So, yeah. When Fleur-de-Lis is no longer in charge, she goes back to sleep and Quem comes out. It's a little weird. But we also have our Ender of New Frontier. That was didn't shrink down hardly at all. Okay, hold on. This is a big image. Hold on. Let me give it a go. All right, there we go. That's framed up a little bit better. But yeah, so. You can see their new concept arts. Ecclesia's got a new look. She's got her hair in a ponytail. She's got some goggles. She's got some gloves. Albaz has finally discovered shirts.
I finally had time to go find someone to make up a shirt.
In fact, I assume he must have been dressed by Kit or the other Tri-Brigades because he's very dapper. He's still got his cloak, like a jacket coat over him, but now he's wearing, a button-up collared shirt and a vest. He also is wearing sandals. Looks good. Apparently, Kit has, projected some things with her little Mercurial projector to, fill them in on all the stuff that's going on. They found the weird eyeball guy. There's, Kit having a good time. I just love these expressions of Albaz and Ecclesia watching the projection back, what? Oh, and actually, yeah, I think she's even got, there's, the two of them grabbing hands, but then them splitting up later. And, Albaz and Ecclesia being possibly slightly embarrassed by this. Springen's Rocky is still, driving their boat. But they do also have one of the weird little Coriatus eyeballs as, their compass. I think that does lean to what I was thinking, that maybe what they're supposed to be following is they're looking for Quem, basically, because Ecclesia is probably going to want to get back, try and get back Fleur-de-Lis' soul. And, Albaz is probably looking for a Luber. Get his little red forehead gem back. But yeah, that is the story. That's all the Abyss lore we've got so far. It's quite a lot going on.
Such a nice. I think it's nice for the story how the story goes.
Yeah.
It's like I also think like I like the concept of making more public because it actually adds a lot because it reminds me of like honestly when it reminds me of like concept art books for Final Fantasy VI where there's a lot of just character details. They're just the artist just notes in the book that's just like cool notes.
Yeah. Since they switched from because they actually let me scroll all the way to the bottoms because there's the list. Because they used to say it some way. Yeah, there were the master guides with the storylines, right? And that's where we got all our World Legacy lore. Let me scroll through. I don't think those included a lot of concept art. Whereas the valuable books thing that they're doing now explicitly has, like, bonus concept art. And also, in general, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitter, like on the OCG and stuff, is better about printing their concept art on Twitter as well. But yeah, the EX Book 3 included shit we now know about. We all learned about runics, which is and generators, which is very funny because it is literally Skyrim. Like it is framed like it is a walkthrough or an ad for a first-person RPG. You, the player, have to go to the runic fountain to fill up your mana at various points. They recharge your spells, so they're like kind of like bonfires in Souls, but not exactly like that. You have to defeat the generators, which are the literal bosses. You get to like get companions with you and funny stuff like that. But Lopter turns into Levitine as the secret boss and shit like that. It's very funny. But yeah, I think actually, are we like? Hold on, let me double check the card releases. So the EX Book 3 covers like most of the Visa Starfrost lore, but not all of it. I don't think that covers, like... Actually, let me double-check the art there. Does it cover Realm Resonance? It doesn't have the new Visa Samsara, like the new version of him, but... Yeah, there's some extra stuff there, but we may actually be able to get into some of that, because I think the cards are done. It's just we don't have all the lore. But we don't need to worry about that yet, chat, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel was kind enough to release a new solo mode that we didn't actually talk about before. So, next week, I am excited to present to you, we will be doing the Tenyi Fail Portrayal. Talking about worms. Which is good, because we have talked about Yang Zing and Sword Soul before, obviously. So, Tenyi goes along with both of those. There's some fairly interesting but a little basic lore that they covered in the solo mode. They did leave some stuff a little open-ended, which was funny. Even though I don't think there's going to be like a Tenyi solo mode 2. It's just, kind of where the cards end. But there's a decent number of those, and we can talk about them. Also, I'll be gearing up for a Fail Portrayal Patreon poll as well. I got to talk to the guys about what exactly they want to do. Axe, I'm sure, will keep Spiral. Loth has said he will be BLS, so we'll see. Dallas will probably still be Gimmick Puppet. I'll double-check with him.
I'm staying with mine.
Yeah, you're staying with Spiral. I figured. So, no, I'll see if...
There's a lot of cool cards there I feel like worth showing.
I have to switch from Tenyi to something else, because we don't need to do that anymore. It's solo mode. So we'll be doing that. And then after that, we may or may not get some other weird shit. Like, I know Dallas has thought about doing some more Magic-related stuff for funny. I joked about doing a Pokemon-themed one, because there's a lot of weird old Pokemon TCG card art. But can also keep talking about relatively modern decks that might go places and talk about what the fuck is actually supposed to be happening in Visa Starfrost. It's very space Buddhist.
It's a lot of like Hindu, yeah. Buddhist.
Yeah, it's a lot of realms, moods,
it's
things
it's
going
Visas
on.
and like a lot of the actual words are meant to be like said in like the Hindu way, like Krishna,
Yeah.
so on.
Well, yeah. But it's talking about, your various ways. But, yeah. No, I don't know anything about Vanguard.
Same, I don't either. That's right. I know a little bit, but not enough.
Yeah. But that is Fail Portrayal. Oops, I accidentally closed my streaming tab, but did not close the stream yet, so hold on. I was trying to check how much time we've been going for. I think it's 2 hours. I need this tab open, though, anyway, so I can fucking end the stream, which I will be doing shortly. So, real quick, to recap for everybody, hey, like this video if you liked it. You can leave your comments. Join our Discord also. Sub if you haven't already to get this every week. And also to stay tuned for future streams. We'll be streaming Final Fantasy 14 tomorrow, working on more Stormblood stuff. Keep on keeping on.
Woo.
And also ring the bell for notifications so you always know when we're streaming and whatnot. In case I decide to start the stream early, I don't know. Maybe I want to do a long 14 stream.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll just have to see what happens. I got other stuff to catch up on. I'm working on other projects too. Anyway, that's that. Yeah, stay tuned for Fail Portrayal next week for Tenyi. And if you didn't catch it, go back and check out Hollow Knight stream from yesterday. That's it, everybody. Good night.